What's up guys, it's Will here, back again. Today, we're here to review the Hot Toys Venom from Spider-Man 2, the PlayStation 5 video game. This is one of the biggest Hot Toys to ever exist, but is it one of the highest quality? Well, today we find that out. But before we get started, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you're notified when content goes live here. I purchased this figure from Comic Concepts. Comic Concepts is an excellent place to shop for Hot Toys figures, often much cheaper than Sideshow. No sales tax, and you can use my code WillFox for $10 off of any order. Unlimited usage. Check out the link in the description below. That said, let's get into it. Venom's packaging is fairly standard for a larger Hot Toys figure, but I really like it. The slipcover contains a giant picture of Venom surrounded by symbiote effects with a Spider-Man 2 logo at the top, and around the sides and back you have symbiote effects as well. After removing the slipcover, you do have the box itself, which has an open window where you can see the figure and more symbiote effects alongside some rainbow effects on the sides. When you remove the inner packaging from the box, you have a top layer of clawed hands enclosed in a plastic tray, and a bottom layer holding the figure, a second head sculpt, some spare hands, a display base, and other symbiote effects. The unboxing experience for this figure is nice. It doesn't quite feel as high-end premium like a DX figure or an InArt figure, but it's very good. Straight out of the packaging, in my collection room, not my typical review space because this boy is just too big. He's not suited for it. This is awesome. The spider logo on the chest, the symbiote gooey structure, the teeth head sculpt, the claw hands, which I went ahead and installed because I love how those look. This is awesome. I love the proportions on this figure. The height sitting at just under 21 inches is quite a commitment for collectors these days who collect 1/6 scale, but this guy is worth it. He has the presence and he's surprisingly amazing. I didn't expect that. And now we're looking at the open mouth head sculpt with the shortest magnetic tongue. More on that later. There are 3 tongues included. And this guy looks awesome. The tongue look is not my preferred look. I do prefer the teeth head sculpt just a bit more. I think it looks more lifelike, but still it looks amazing. I love that white spider logo. I didn't know how much I was missing it until I actually had it. On the original Venom Tom Hardy, of course, it's not there, not part of the design, but wow, this looks awesome. I'm in love with this. So let's continue on to the next part of the video and see what's up. All right, guys. So here is our first look at Venom from Spider-Man 2 in hand. And this guy is massive. It is a huge figure. Even holding this guy on camera is a little bit of a challenge, but we got the standard teeth head sculpt on here and it is amazing. And of course you can see the spider logo on the chest there. That is what everyone has been clamoring for years now. And we finally have it in this video game Venom. This boy is quite a beast, standing at about 21 inches tall, so he's gonna have to have a dedicated space in your display, but man, is he worth it. He has a magnetic head sculpt, so you can just plop it right off and plop it right on, get a full range of motion. That thing is really awesome. The security of it, you need to be very careful with, just because if you move the figure around, you should take the head sculpt off, place it back on before it's stable, just because if you try to move him around too much, you could move the head off and it could slide right off the body. The stick is pretty good, but you do want to be very careful with that just to ensure you don't cause any damage to the figure. The body is awesome. Massive 21 inches, as I mentioned. It has a rubbery texture over the top a plastic body underneath, and it feels very squishy and symbiotic. It's awesome. It feels like a real symbiote would actually feel, and I love how that looks. The teeth, so much detail in these. I really love how these look, and of course I really love how much detail is in the eyes as well. Really liking how this is looking so far. Let's pop the tongue head sculpt on and see what that looks like. So here is the tongue head sculpt. I'm having to hold this one a little bit oddly just because of how massive the figure is and how big my setup is. You can see this review might be a little more constrained in terms of the shots I'm able to provide you with, but nonetheless, this looks super cool. The tongue is actually a magnetic item, so essentially you just plop it in right there and it sits nice, safely, and securely. There are 3 tongues included, which we'll go over. I prefer the shortest tongue. I actually like the look of it, but this head sculpt, if you take the tongue out, it does look like it's missing something. You could use this head sculpt without that tongue if you so wish, but to me, it just looks like it needs that tongue. So you can plop that thing right in there. The magnetic connection is strong and boom, there you go. It's there. I love how this figure feels. The body, the head sculpt, both head sculpts are absolutely awesome and amazing in their details. Look at the gums there on the side, and of course the symbiote texture on top and on bottom. Wow, this is really good. So Venom comes with 3 separate tongues. This is the shortest tongue that is included, and it actually has a magnetic feature on the back. So a magnet is glued on. You just plop that into the open mouth head sculpt and boom, that thing is ready for action. This tongue is a little bit more curved. It is a sculpted plastic. You can see the paint applications are very fine. You have some pink in there, of course, and even some brown and gray color schemes that really make this tongue look super realistic and cool. Love how it looks, and I'm probably going to be using this short version with my Venom figure, but let's look at the other 2 as well. So next up we have medium Venom tongue. This one is actually a bit more curved as well. Magnetic feature on the back, just like the other, same paint applications, but it has more of a curved outside of the side of the mouth feature. So when you plug this one in, it's going to go a little bit more to the side of the mouth instead of front on, but still a really good option. I love that you get 3 here. Let's take a look at the next one. And here we have the longest tongue. This one is a more straight out of the mouth type of tongue, straight on tongue, curved just like the other ones, but more straight on in its composure. Same paint applications again. I love this. Feels very firm. Magnetic feature holds very well. 3 different tongue options for different poses that you want to go for. So I love that Hot Toys gave us some versatility and some really cool tongues here. What you're seeing are not big balls of coal. These are actually fisted hands. These come pre-installed on the figure. I like these, but they don't look as lifelike and realistic to me. I like the relaxed hands, which you'll see quite often in this video, but you do have these fisted hands should you want to use them. Same type of texture, has that symbiotic feel, but these are actually the full plastic. So they don't have that rubbery texture to them, that rubbery vibe, but they blend in just as well. Think of the other Venom figure that was released, the Tom Hardy versions, very similar to that, but a much harder sculpted plastic this go round. So there are 2 different included symbiote effects that you can plug into the back of Venom. On the back, there's a peg and actually a magnet for a magnetic connection, which is super cool. You have a really strong connection that's going to peg and magnetize, which is going to hold to the back of the figure. I don't think I'm going to be using these all that frequent just because I'm concerned about long-term damage to the back of the figure, but they are there if you want to add some symbiotic effects to your Venom figure. Very detailed. It's a hard plastic just like the other features, very sculpted and rigid, but still tons of detail nonetheless. And here's the second symbiote effect, a little bit different than the first version, a little bit more of a curvature to it with different aspects of symbiotes kind of branching out from Venom, but also really cool should you want to install these on the back of the figure. I like that you have something because Venom doesn't need a ton of accessories, but these symbiote effects, they do the job. And there's actually 2 symbiote effects that slide over the arms. These again give me a little bit of pause just because they could result in long-term damage to the gooey rubbery texture on the outside of the figure over that plastic body. So for me, these are probably going to stay in the box, but again, a really nice inclusion for people that are maybe a little bit more dangerous, that like to live on their edge with their figures. I think this is a really cool addition. Plastic piece, sculpted, but still has that texture to it, which really makes it just come alive and look cool on the figure. And here's the second slide-on symbiote accessory, just a different sort of vibe to it altogether. But again, slides over the arms nicely. Just be careful leaving it long-term, but if you really feel comfortable with that, I think you're gonna have a really badass display with this one. Now these are probably the coolest accessory in the box. There's actually 2 of these, one for a right hand and one for a left hand. They're claw symbiote hands, and they are sharp. The underside is sharp, the tops here are sharp. You want to be careful, they feel a bit fragile, but they have a sculpted piece of black plastic over the top, and of course that gooey symbiote texture vibe underneath, which is super cool. I love how these look. I can't wait to install these on the figure. I think they're gonna look super cool. I think you gotta use at least one of these. This is just badass, man. And last but certainly not least, we have the Spider-Man 2 Venom display base. You can see the Marvel logo, Spider-Man 2, of course, from the video game, and the Venom nameplate on the front. And of course, the Spider-Man Venom symbol on the base, which I think is a really nice touch. Hot Toys new collectors really care about this emblem, and it is there on the base as well. You have a long black plastic rod, and of course, a plastic hook that Venom can crotch grab to the base. Pretty typical for bigger figures, so nothing that you haven't seen before. But again, I really like this base. Not a massive footprint, although it is a massive figure. I like this a lot. I want to showcase a brief comparison of the Spider-Man 2 Venom and the Tom Hardy Venom. Both of these figures are fantastic. Both have great presence, but for me, I gotta say that I prefer the Spider-Man 2 Venom. The biggest issue most collectors are going to have is space though. The Spider-Man 2 Venom takes quite a bit of effort to display properly. It's 21 inches tall compared to Tom Hardy's Venom, which is 15 inches tall. Standing side by side, you can see the massive difference between the two. Your preference may also depend on your affinity for a specific iteration of Venom. Do you like the Venom movies more than the game? Because if so, you should just go with Tom Hardy's Venom. I prefer the video game Venom because I feel it has a little bit more presence, and I prefer Venom with the spider logo on the chest. From an accessory standpoint, the offerings are very similar, so I think that's kind of a non-factor here. I think your decision will come down to the space you have available in your display, and of course your preferred design and the cost. Tom Hardy's Venom you can find for way below retail these days, so that is likely the better choice from a cost standpoint. I like the present Spider-Man 2 Venom offers, but due to the size, I'll need to make the tough choice myself soon. I thought this would be fun, but for reference, here's Spider-Man 2 Venom next to some normal size figures. Inart Aragorn, Hot Toys Artisan Joker, Hot Toys Endgame Loki, Hot Toys Grand Admiral Thrawn, Hot Toys Black Suit Spider-Man. That is crazy. This Hot Toys Venom has surprised me with how good it is. When it was originally announced, I was all about it. I thought to myself, wow, Hot Toys is making a 21-inch Venom, sign me up. But after I played the game, and it was kind of mid to be honest, I was like, I'll stick to my Tom Hardy Venom. Then the blogger photos and reviews started to drop, and I said, hold on now, let's see what this is about.
All right, let's see what this is about. Where the fuck is everyone?
This Venom figure has visible seams. Yes, it has seams at the shoulders, the ankles, and the wrists. However, as much as I am a champion of realism, for Venom figures, I'm willing to give it a pass. The reason I say this is because the texture of the skin greatly reduces the optics of the seams. This allows for a more lifelike looking Venom because the gooey nature hides the seams and disguises any toy-like qualities. The seams are hidden pretty well, so I can live with this. Maybe one day we'll have a seamless Venom, but not yet. The installation process is also pretty simple. The symbiote effects plug into holes on the back and they look good, but I wouldn't use them because they'll likely damage the figure over time. Same goes for the forearm effects. Damage will occur over time if they are left pressing against the textured skin. Looks cool though. I think this figure also articulates surprisingly well. For such a big figure, you can move him quite freely, but I would be careful bending the elbows or any joints for an extended period of time. This may cause irreversible damage, and we wouldn't want that, now would we? I like the 3 distinct tongue looks, but for me, I'm probably rocking the teeth look. I use the teeth look for Venom and Carnage figures because I find the tongues a bit plastic looking and slightly toyish. Not bad, but I find myself choosing an alternative look. I do like the open mouth sculpt for this figure though. It looks very alien and menacing. I like that. This Venom figure is surprisingly awesome, and maybe that shouldn't surprise me. Hot Toys have done very well with big figures in the past, and they nailed this one too. The key question to ask yourself though is, do you really have space and desire to display it? It's huge, and I don't think you'll quite realize how big this figure is until it's in your hand. Prepare yourselves for the presence, but also for the commitment. All that to say, I love this Venom figure. I think it's surprisingly awesome, massive, but very well done. I think it will end up being one of the best figures of 2025. I'm giving Hot Toys Venom a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell as well so you're notified anytime something cool goes live here. I'll see you in the next video.